Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar hosted by the Organization Development and Change and Workforce Education and Development program at Penn State. This is a monthly webinar series presented during your lunch hour. My name is Jenny Lee, and I'm a Ph.D. candidate in Workforce Education and Development program. We also have Sagan Giri, who is the moderator for Q&A session. Today, we're presenting how can firms improve their OD practices to continue evolving effectively in a rapidly changing world, presented by Fahad Alshawan. In terms of the interactive format for this webinar, please use the chat feature in the Zoom platform. If you have any questions about the presentation, please use Q&A feature on Zoom. You can see the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. The Q&A session will be at the end of the presentation. Our online Master of Professional Studies in Organization Development and Change are designed for professionals who need the skills and knowledge to effectively lead change in their organization. Furthermore, there is a Ph.D. program in Workforce Education and Development with a concentration in Human Resource Development and Organization Development. Our program has created a continuous monthly webinar series with experts around the world. Today, our presenter is Fahad Alshawan. Fahad is a PhD candidate in Workforce Education and Development program at Penn State, specializing in OD and change. During his 15-year career, Fahad has worked in entrepreneurship, education, and management consulting field. He has spent the last 5 years focusing on OD consulting, and he helped several organizations in the United States and Saudi Arabia. He provides organizations with knowledge, tools, and workshops to help them convert into agile organizations to keep competing in a changing world. Now, here is Fahad Alshawan. Fahad, you're on mute.
So hello everyone, thank you for joining me, and thanks Jenny for introducing me. I want to start the webinar by asking a question. So could you please, Jenny, open the poll? So there is a question just I want to know and about the experience and background about your OD. So most of the attending has a degree in OD and several have no idea about it. But thank you for answering the poll. So here's the agenda of this webinar. I will give an overview of organization development importance, background, explanations, and values, phases for enhancing the organizational excellence performance, example of an OD department and structure and functions, example of an OD activity, and then I will summarize and we will go to the questions. So before starting, I want to know your perspectives by answering this question in the chat. Why are organization development practices vital for effective firm development? You can answer this question in the chat. That's important to meet new environmental and organizational challenges. Managing change gets people to optimization more quickly. Yes, it's more humanistic. Organizational change approach than perhaps, it's a good answer. To ensure a plan to manage, improve, and learn from each area and perspective during the change and the growth. Given the changes that take place, is important for organizations to continually make changes. Yes, changing in OD is always, the change is continuous, not something, an end point. Yeah, many good answers. Thank you for all the answers. So now I will just explain some of the importance of the organization development. So we live in a rapidly changing world due to technological advancement and globalization. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic impact, the world is changing at a faster pace, affecting businesses all over the world. And this highlights the significance of firms improving their ability to adapt effectively in a changing environment. Consequently, OD practices are increasingly being used to help organizations thrive in this rapidly changing world. According to Bosch and Nagashi, the 25% failure rate of organizational change is caused by top-down visionary leadership of change management models. Failure tend to occur when senior managers or specific experts exclusively shape the vision, initiatives, and implementation of change. Unfortunately, this is the model used by the majority of consulting firms. In contrast, when leaders develop and facilitate the change collaboratively with the stakeholders and engage them from the beginning by using the OD approach, the change almost always succeeds. Before I begin explaining the OD, I'd like to shed some light on the OD stems. Knowing the origins of OD provides a better understanding of the concepts and how the field is evolving. The first background is laboratory training, also known as the T group, which is the training group, is a small and unstructured group in which participants learn about interpersonal relations, personal growth, leadership, and group dynamics through their own interactions and evolving group processes. And this started in the 40s, 1946, 45. The second background refers to action research and survey feedback processes. Members of an organization and social scientists collaborated to collect research data about the organization's functioning, analyze it for causes of problems, and devise and implement solutions. Following implementation, additional data was collected to evaluate the results, and the cycle of data collection and action was frequently repeated. The systematic collection of survey data, which was fed back to the client organization, was a key component of most action research studies. Normative background, it refers to Likert for Management Styles program and Black and Mountain 99 managerial style. In Likert's participative management program, organizations are classified as having one of 4 types of management systems based on the participation and collaborative engagement. Black and Mountain's 99 managerial style measure the organization based on production and people focus. Productive and the quality of work life, it was started in Europe 1950s and in the US in the 1960s. Generally emphasize the personal consequences of work experience and how to improve work to meet personal needs. This activity now mainly carried out under the banners of employee involvement, EI, total quality management, and Six Sigma programs. The last and recent background is the strategic change. The strategic change context has had a recent and essential impact on OD's evolution. Implementing strategic change necessitates familiarity with competitive strategy, finance, and marketing, as well as team building, action research, and feedback systems. To know more about these STEMs, I highly recommend Cummings and Worley Organization Development and Change book, which explains these STEMs simply and clearly. So what is organization development? Since the OD is an evolving field, there are many OD definitions. I tried to gather a list of the main concepts to know in order to have a good understanding of the OD. OD is a systematic effort to transform the entire organization to keep competing in a changing world. OD applies behavioral science. The OD efforts mostly emphasize social psychology and social interactions. OD is managed from the top to facilitate a bottom-up approach by structuring the organization so that work groups are empowered to be innovate in their work and improve their organization's processes. OD focuses on aligning strategy, structure, management, processes, people, rewards, and measures to improve an organization capabilities. OD consultants work to build capacity within organization by improving client system as well as knowledge and skills so they could keep developing on their own. It is crucial to understand that OD consultant role is not to provide solution. It is the client's and organization responsibility. The OD consultants help by providing the organizations with knowledge, skills, tools, and workshops to help them solve their problems and improve their performance. So I want to ask you a question and you can answer in the chat. From your perspective, what is the most important aspect of the OD and why? You can answer in the chat. Yeah, not being top-down approach, involving everyone in the change helps to ensure success. Excellent. The organization development goals. Yeah, humanistic, phenomenological components. Yeah, this is the separate. Yeah, to change and grow or react to external factors because OD is based on systems theory. Excellent. Change is what you do with people, not do to people. So engagement is huge. Exactly. Yeah, thank you very much for this incredible answer. So it's basically, we can say it is a behavioral science-based actual research project to develop the entire organization. Because without considering the social, psychological phenomena, any development or change will be challenged. So thank you for your, amazing answers. So now we will go to about the OD values. Leaders and OD professionals should improve their OD practices by embracing OD values into their performance in order to achieve best results for their organizations in the face of ongoing changes. Yoon and his colleagues conducted a study on values as essential to the current and future of OD. The values should be used as indicators of how well the organization's interventions and practices align with OD. The authors identify the 9 core values of OD: awareness of self and system. This value is to promote the ability to recognize oneself and one's client from systems perspective, while dealing with each human system as a whole. Recognizes and differentiates personal and clients' desires, goals, and ego needs. Continuous learning and innovation. This value is to keep improving and up to date on new developments in the field of OD by involving a data-driven approach to new techniques, methods, and capabilities. Explores and tries new processes, ways of working, concepts, and practices. Integrity. The purpose of this value is to promote ethical behavior. Keep in mind the confidentiality, privacy, and security of your client's information. Always adhere to ethical codes and principles, promote justice, and manage conflicts of interest. Courageous leadership. This value promotes an open dialogue environment that encourages confident conversation about difficult topics in an honest and direct manner. Trust and respect. This value is to create an environment which promotes emotionally safe setting. It means to demonstrating deep respect and trust for all individuals and understanding their feelings and circumstances. Diversity. This value recognizes and promotes each individual's distinct presence, role, and contributions. It means emphasizing the significance of all individuals' perspectives and identities, including those who may be marginalized. Collaborative engagement. This value promotes the inclusion and empowerment of all internal and external stakeholders. It entails encouraging open participation throughout the systems. Strategic practicality means empowering clients by providing them with information and tools that allow them to determine and achieve their desired goals. Adapting to changing circumstances, recognizing alternative options and solutions, and promoting strategic thinking. Client growth and development. This value aims to increase OD clients' capacity, to empower them to sustain and continue their work and development on their own, reaching out to people at all levels of the organizational structure on a continuous basis to educate and improve interpersonal competencies. These 9 values could help to guide OD professionals in their work and assist organizations leaders to determine whether their performances align with OD practices. Here I want to describe the phases involved in improving organizational excellence performance from an OD perspective. The following phases should be followed to transform the firm into a model of organizational excellence in which the firm can continue to improve, innovate, and compete. At the entry level, it is critical to focus on building relationships, building trust with the clients, and having a general understanding of what they want and the problems they are experiencing. During the inquiry phase, the consultant will continue to build relationships and trust while focusing on improving the dialogue with the clients to understand the workplace nature. Informal interviews and informal observations will be conducted. Leaders' mindset. The mindset leaders are critical to the success of OD practices. Without a shift in mindset, the organization will be challenged to develop and change. The appropriate method and tools for the mindset leadership development should be selected and developed based on the circumstances and unique needs. The consultant should then conduct a needs assessment and make initial recommendations. The assessment tools and approaches should be developed based on the organization's unique needs and solutions. There are various methods could be used, such as Malcolm Baldrige assessment and enhanced critical incident technique, following the bottom-up approach. It is critical to ensure collaboration and engagement with people at all levels in the organization, increasing the effectiveness of communication in all levels in the organization, and revitalizing the feedback system in the evaluation phase. In strategizing, utilizing the evaluation phase results and imagine a desirable future, discussing the efforts and options of the change initiatives. Then plan those options in organizational initiatives and action steps. Once the plan is ready, the change now starts. During the change, leaders should empower effective feedback systems and be flexible and innovate rather than sticking to predetermined details. The last phase is revitalizing. So leaders and OD professionals should indeed continue to improve communication and empower dialogue to foster innovation in order to revitalize and maintain organizational excellence. During the development phases, championing successes and achievements are vital to promote motivation. So OD department structure and functions. First, I want to clarify that there is no single current structure for the OD department. It depends on the kind of organization and its unique needs. However, there are key concepts to consider in structuring the department, such as ensuring top management support, effective communication, and collaborative engagement in which all employees and stakeholders are empowered to innovate and develop the corporation. Supporting the bottom-up approach, where work groups are empowered to be innovate in their work and improve their organization's processes based on the customer's real needs. An OD council should be formed with representatives from all levels of the organization, including stakeholders, executive leaders, customers, and employees. OD work must be supported from the top, so the council is facilitated by the CEO or another executive leader who must believe in the concepts of OD. The council's role is to ensure that stakeholders and employees at all levels are involved in major recommendations and to develop change initiatives. In other words, the OD Council's role is to facilitate dialogic conversations in order to generate innovations and ensure best practices. The OD's primary responsibility is to ensure effective communication so that relevant stakeholders and employees can share feedback and make suggestions to improve the corporate development processes. OD should support the organization's people to innovate and improve their departments while also ensuring alignment with the strategy. OD department works to facilitate the development process by developing and coordinating OD teams that involved all levels and departments in the firm. The OD also department coordinating with the relevant stakeholders to promote the council recommendations implementation, evaluating to provide initial recommendations using OD approach and tools. Also, the OD department should developing and managing OD training and development programs in collaboration with HRD, Human Resource Development. So before I go to the activity example, I want to you to answer this question. What is the appreciative inquiry approach and how does it help in OD? You can answer this in the chat, please. No, it's not the humble inquiry. The humble inquiry, by the way, it is very important in OD because we questioning, not provide solutions. It's about appreciative inquiry. Yes, asking what is working well. Yep, so focusing on the positive, not the challenging. Any other answer? Yes, it's a strengths-based positive approach. So we will focus on positive. It is not challenging. What are our strengths? Where can we be in the future? What is our best state? Yes, exactly. So why and how does it help in the OD? Focusing on only strengths, not the problems. Why it's important and it's good in organization development, or how? More motivation, correct? Yes, exactly. Yes, for growth, you can't focus on weaknesses to motivate others. Exactly, because it's in many times, if you focus and provide the challenging, it will challenge the participation and the employees or the team to to improve. So let's go now to, okay, yes, a bonus can be mentioned towards achieving goals. Exactly. So this is an activity that could be used to foster positivity and engagement in developing the department's and organization's initiatives. I developed it based on the appreciative inquiry that we just discussed and SOAR analysis, strengths, opportunities, aspirations, results technique. To perform this activity, employees and relevant stakeholders were divided into groups based on their work emphasis. The activity should begin by discussing strengths and individual success stories to stimulate and strengthen the dialogue. When individuals share their successful experiences, stories, it improves their relationship and the sense of belonging and ownership in the organization. After facilitating positive conversation, the participants as groups should perform SOAR analysis. First, identify the strengths and opportunities. Based on the strengths and opportunities, what aspirations and desired future could be achieved? After the groups start to answer this question, then explain how we will achieve the desired future. In other words, how those aspirations could be translated into key measurable results. After the SOAR analysis, each group develop a plan as action steps to achieve the key results and desired goals. So this is just an example of how we can use an activity to enhance the involvement and engagement and think in a strategic way. So now we will go to the summary. I want to summarize this in several statements. So OD is essential in today's changing world. OD delivers planned interventions that boost the whole organization's excellent development processes. The key to organizational excellence is to ensure effective communication, a solid feedback system, and effective dialogue culture. There isn't a perfect OD structure. Each firm has unique needs, but it should provide top management support to facilitate a bottom-up approach. Excellent and effective dialogue is required for any OD activity and intervention. Here's the references, and thank you for the presentation. This is my part, and now we will go to Jenny.
Hi, Fahad, Sugun here.
Yes.
So there are a couple of questions that we have received through DM. I'll start with the first one. So how do you increase cross-functionality and interdepartmental cooperation in the OD approach?
I will open the questions. Okay. So this usually it's each organization has their unique circumstances. So for me, usually I start to create teams. Uh, each department, each structure, they have to have, I called it OD teams, as in the OD structure. So those teams should be developed in a way that have uh, diversity and several, I want to say levels in the organization. And I think teams is the best way to do that.
Thank you. Another question is, can you describe a major success you had in optimizing operational efficiency in an organization?
Okay,
I'll
could you
repeat the
repeat the
question.
question again?
Yeah, I'll
Please.
repeat the question. So the person asks, can you describe a major success you had in optimizing operational efficiency in an organization?
Well, for me, the best thing when I do the consulting in OD is to focus on the communication system. Before I start to any consulting in an inquiry phase, I focus in the how the organization is doing their communication. Are they communicating very well? And I see also the feedback systems. So and the problem is, for me, usually it's happened that even the strategy, they have a strategy, but the people not aware about the strategy and they don't focus about what they are doing. So the first step I did is to design the organization, help the organization actually to design the organization, redesign the organization, and add the feature of the feedback system, communication, and then also to help them to be all everything in the organization is aligned. I mean the job analysis, the job descriptions, the features, and then what they are doing based on what on the goals and the strategic plan. After I did this, actually, then everything will go smooth. The second thing I do is to develop a department, the organization development department. It's not necessarily it's called like this. Sometimes I called it quality and organization development. Uh, this will help to kind of involve all people together, uh, especially the executive leaders and some of employees, so they can discuss together about what they need, what they provide. So when we remove the layers between the low levels of the, I mean, uh, the people who interact directly with the customers and the executives, it will help them to make more understanding and help them to promote and provide uh, a very solid solutions to help to improve the performance.
Thank you, Fahad. Marketing Plan Tech asks, how does a council implement change in a department that is kind of held by an old employees and executives, where sometimes you need a change for development?
Yeah, this is a really actually tough situation. That's why I actually added the leaders mindset. If the leader's mindset is not accepting the concepts of OD and not practicing the OD, it will be really challenge for OD to implement any change or help the organization to shift and to be more agile organization. So the first step I suggest is to go to the leaders and start just focus on the leader's mindset. It's not necessary. That's why I explained that it's depends on the need, the unique situation. In many time, the leaders not accepting to teach them or to tell them what they should do. So in order to success in this, to improve or to the shift their mindset, you should provide kind of collaborative learning. So they will discuss together to provide much better leadership development programs, and they develop by themselves. So you will help them and let them to learn from each others and learn by themselves about the leadership concepts, OD concepts. In this way, you can provide and improve and enhance their mindsets about the change and the new processes and new approach. Uh, because in many times, I see the employees or the OD consultant, they provide a good tool, a new approach and methods, but the leaders don't know about it. So they say, do what I want, not to do what you just learned. So this is the major problem. So to avoid this, the best thing is to focus on the executive leaders.
Thank you, Fahad. Brian Chapman asks, can you go back to the summary slide? The first question is, and the second question is, how do you typically explain the value of OD to potential clients for their bottom line?
Yeah, Dr. Yoon and his colleagues, actually, they have in their articles something called behavior indicators. So they can evaluate themselves based on these indicators, and also the employees and the people who deal with them, they can evaluate them and then start to focus on what they should improve. So this is, I think, the best way to do kind of survey, self-assessment based on the OD values. You can go to the Dr. Yoon article, and it's in the references list, and it has a lot of good things based on about the OD values and behavior indicators.
Thank you. So in conjunction with Brian's question, there's a question, why do organizations need an OD consultant? What is the value add for the organization?
It's to help the organization, the all people together, to have better communication and collaborate together to improve and keep developing in a changing world. And we just mentioned that if we go to the slide about the importance of OD, you can see the, sorry, okay, here is it. Bush and Nagashi has a lot of actually consulting, and based on their literature and research, found that if you want to improve your organization and change the organization, mostly is failure, 27% actually the rate of failure. So in order to help the organization to keep developing and be agile with the changes and succeed in the changing process, you have to obtain the OD, organization development.
Thank you, Fahad. So another question is, what are some of the things that you can do as an OD consultant during the revitalization phase of the organization excellence?
Okay. So let's go to the, so I just mentioned that here about the focusing on communication, the dialogue, the quality of dialogue, the culture, and try to help the employees, the stakeholders to keep innovate and stay help championing the successes and help them to keep in the innovation and communication, because communication and keep collaborative and communicating and try to innovate and keep innovating is a key success to keep continuing developing actually in the changing world, because we live in a changing world. So if you focus on the health, I want to say, of the communication between all stakeholders, and they just focus on the strategy and the vision and mission and keep innovate and provide creative initiatives. And this is what I mean by revitalizing.
Thank you, Fahad. So another question is, how do you make sure that developmental and change approaches or initiatives are cost effective?
It's about how the dialogue culture, I want to say, that you have. And also, I refer again on the OD values, because it will help to the behavior indicators based on the OD values will help to measure how the organization and the people in organization are practicing OD, and their programs are still in based on the OD values.
Thank you, Fahad. So we have a question, which is a long question. OD Council and OD Department is good to manage multiple OD processes and align all OD efforts with the organization's strategic goal. However, not all organizations have such a council or department of OD. So what are the obstacles to launching such a team, and how can we overcome them? How to overcome them?
Yeah, it's basically to create an OD council and department and teams. It's not, I mean, sometimes the organization is not big enough to have a separate and only, and you have OD practitioners, they just focus on OD. Sometimes the organization is small. So what you want to do to create a team, and this team should act as an OD department. And they should follow the structure of the OD and following the actual research steps that we just mentioned in the, let's say here, the organizational excellence phases. So they just keep do with this process of the actual research. And the structure of the team and how they are doing, they should be following the what we just mentioned in the OD department.
Thank you, Fahad. I think we have time for one last question. The question is around OD approach, and what are the pros of using OD approach to adapt to the changing world when compared to other approaches, other similar approaches?
Yeah, it's good, very good question. It's based on behavior science. The OD, it's a philosophy. It's not something that you just have a tools. We mentioned about, for example, biology assessment, and we mentioned about the enhanced critical incident technique. These, if you applied the tools and applications, up, down approach, you just go as the executive, collect research, surveys, and then provide solutions by your own. It is not the correct. So it's OD is a philosophy. You have to consider the communication, consider the collaborative engagement, and be sure about the dialogue culture. And also I refer to Bosch and Marshall and Nagash. They provide about the Bosch about the dialogue and dialogic approach in OD. So this is the philosophy based. So if you go to if you implement the tools and approach based on behavior science, ensuring the effective communication, effective feedback systems, and evaluate your work based on the OD values, this is how we will know about if we practicing OD correctly or not.
Thank you, Fahad. Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Fahad and Sagun. It was a pleasure being with you today. On behalf of our OD&C and Workforce Education and Development Program, we hope you think this webinar is helpful. If we didn't get to your questions, please send us an email or reach out to the presenter directly via email. For the future webinar, we would like to hear your feedback on today's webinar. Please take the survey using the link in the chat box. It takes less than 3 minutes. Our next webinar is about talent investment as an organization design by Sally Loftis on March 25th, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Registrations for all events can be found on all of our social media platforms, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.